You don't look at the external circumstance and say, okay, I will make it work this way because of the external circumstances around me. You don't have to do that. What do you want? What do you deserve? What do you feel that you are worthy of? Because that is what you're ordering. What if getting what you really want was as easy as ordering a cheeseburger and large fries? Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Armitage, and welcome to the Catalyst Code, where we crack the internal code that creates the external result. I'm your host, and after 27 years as Bob Proctor's writing partner and protege, I've been helping people all over the world step into their greatness and create better in their worlds, whatever that better might be. And I think it's about your turn. Each week, Catalyst Code teaches you how to activate momentum, rewire your mind, and create results that stick. You're the catalyst. This is the code. So let's go. About 2 weeks ago, I was chatting with one of my one-on-one mentoring clients, and she said, Diane, how do I start making more money? And I said, okay, well, let's get some clarity on that question first. I mean, what do you ultimately want? And she said, well, I want more money in my bank account. And I said, okay. And how would you like that money to arrive? She kind of looked at me. She said, well, I would like to do something work-wise that brings that money into me. And I said, okay, so do you want to go out and get a job? Do you want to get a part-time job? What are you looking for? Or do you want to just have money show up in your bank account? Are you interested in doing joint ventures? Do you want to put something like that together? Do you want to do something every day that has money show up in your account? Or would you like a combination of all of that? And she said, well, I'd really like to do what I love to do, but I just don't know that I can make more money doing that. And I said, okay, before we tackle that paradigm question, that thing in your head that says you may not be able to make money doing what you love to do, how about we find out what you love to do most? So she started giving me a list of the things that she loves to do. And I said, okay, so now let's get crystal clear on what you want. All right. Now, what do I mean by crystal clear? Because frankly, it's all out there already just waiting for you to decide if you want it or not and how you want it to arrive. In fact, once you have clarity on what it is you want, you actually begin to draw it toward you. But that's kind of a whole different podcast on what our planet's law of vibration is all about. Now, I'm going to step into this a little bit. You may have heard people refer to its subsidiary law, the law of attraction. And some people think, well, that's all woo-woo, law of attraction. No, this is physics. This is planetary law, the law of vibration. Remember, I've told you, we are energetic beings, all kinds of atoms and molecules racing around, right? And we are energetically interacting with all of the energy out there, all of that, right? So when you talk about the law of vibration, you're talking about energetic beings having an interference or an interaction with energetic ether out there, which is all part of the law of vibration. But let's just stay on point here. I'm getting clarity on what it is you want and remaining clear on the fact that you are a catalyst. You are going to find out that you can have anything that you want. You're put on this earth to co-create. You're put on this earth to create a life of your choosing. So choose, but have clarity on what it is you're choosing. See, so many of us fall into this default. We don't fall into the design. We fall into the default of creation. And we just go along with whatever is happening in our lives, not understanding that we're responsible for creating that exact same result. And this is where we begin to shift because we begin to consciously choose. So in the process of working through these clarifying questions with my client and reminding her of her limitless power, I was reminded of a lesson I taught several months back about the drive-through lane. And after I talked her through it, she said, you should make that a podcast. So here it is. Now, the drive-through idea actually came from Esther Hicks. I think she was talking about it in one of her sessions. It may be in one of her books. Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, fantastic, fantastic. And it's all about calling in your order to the universe, the energetic matter out there, like you're at a drive-through at your favorite fast food restaurant or your favorite coffee house. Okay, so let me reiterate the example that I taught in my class, and then I'm going to sort of fluff it up for you in a bigger way. All right. So you drive up in the drive-through to this big wall that is well lit, an entire menu, huge menu. Now notice these items are already waiting for you. They already know how to be made quickly and efficiently for you. And you read through all the options, and the disembodied voice comes on and says, "Hey, welcome. What would you like?" And through the entire process, the disembodied voice just keeps saying quite cheerfully, "Got it. Perfect. What would you like? What would you like?" So you say, "Well, I think I'd like a cheeseburger, no onions." Okay. Would you like that with fries? Sure. Would you like to supersize your fries? Sure. Would you like anything else? Well, I think I'm going to get the ice cream cone. Okay. Would you like that dipped in chocolate? No. Okay. And would you like anything else? Well, I think maybe I'll get that apple turnover too. Okay. Perfect. What else can I get you? What would you like to drink? Well, I think I'll get a bottled water, but maybe I want a coffee for the road. Okay, perfect. Would you like creams in that coffee? See how this goes at the drive-through? All that disembodied voice is saying on the other side is, "Got it. What else would you like? What else would you like? Would you like this? How about this? What else would you like?" Because seriously, you can order the entire menu from the entire lighted sign, and the universe, that agreeable voice, could care less how much you're ordering. It's just taking your order, right? It's important to understand this. The entire attraction process, the law of vibration, it's really simply relying on your clear, direct, distinct, clarified order. That's important. Clear, direct, distinct, clarified. It wants to hear the confidence in your voice, the belief that you're going to get everything you ordered at the very next window. It doesn't care what you want. It just wants to know that you've really ordered all that you want, everything that you want. You see, the law of attraction, the law of vibration, isn't about hoping that something out there is going to hear your request. The law of vibration is about you being in the feeling tone and the believing tone of already receiving it. It's about knowing you're in partnership with this extraordinary force because you are equal to its extraordinary force. See, you both are doing your part here. You're asking, it's answering. You're asking, it's answering. But you've got to know that the equally as important next step is you receiving. You've placed your order. You know that it's coming. I mean, have you ever driven up to a drive-through and they say, "Yes, sorry, we can't give you anything you ordered, not even one fry or one hot sauce packet because it's just not here." Never, never happens. You have an expectation of its delivery between ordering at the board and driving up to the next window, right? You have an expectation of its delivery. And you know what else you're doing? You are taking action, moving from the order to the receiving end where you receive what you have ordered. Now, what if you don't get exactly what you want? What if you don't get exactly what you want? You know, sometimes you'll be in the drive-through and you'll drive away and all of a sudden you realize that you've got a chicken sandwich instead of a hamburger. Or you got hash browns instead of the fries. Or you got a caffeinated drink instead of a decaffeinated drink. That happened to me the other morning. I'm always a decaf person. Every now and then I have to say, "Are you sure it's decaf?" Because I don't want to be on caffeine. But anyway, so what if you don't get exactly what you want? Well, let me give you another example of another client of mine. He was in a situation, this was several months ago, where he had envisioned this thing. He was actually going to go to be on a horse ranch. He wanted to work on a horse ranch, like a big dude ranch. And he wanted to do specific things on this horse ranch, being this dude ranch guy. And he saw where he wanted to go, and he saw the town that he wanted to be in. And he'd done some research around, and there were a few horse ranches out there. And he was like, oh, okay, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. And he was so excited because everything started coming together. And it looked like he was in this position in this town at this particular ranch. And it was exactly the one that he thought he wanted. And here was this big opportunity. It was a big opportunity. He actually drove from one state to the other to take this perfect job. But when he got there, he was like, you know, it all came together so easily. Maybe this is what it's supposed to be for me. And I said, well, how do you feel about it? And he was like, yeah, it's not quite it. It's not quite it, you know, but I mean, everything came together so well, and here it is. And, you know, it kind of looks like what I asked for, but it's not really what I asked for. And I said, well, if you don't feel like it's exactly what you asked for, you don't have to settle for it. You don't have to settle for it at all. You go back to the drive-thru and you say, hi, I think I got the wrong order. Or you say, hey, you know, I don't think I was clear enough. I didn't have enough clarity on what I was asking for. And so I need to get a little more clarity here so that you know exactly what I want. And what does the universe, the disembodied voice, say? Okay, not a problem at all. We'll exchange that. We'll be happy to get you what you want. See how that works? See how that works? Now, a lot of times you'll be in a drive-through lane and you'll be stuck behind a car or maybe two cars back, and there's somebody at the big lit board and they don't know what they want. And they sit there and they look, and you know that they haven't made up their mind. And the disembodied voice is saying, well, would you like chicken or would you like beef? Would you like a taco, or are you feeling more like a burrito? I mean, it's trying to help along. It's trying to help along, right? And you're stuck in this line of traffic waiting for the person up there to make their decision. Now, you know how that kind of feeling is? Well, just think of the universe on the other end thinking, this person clearly does not have clarity on what they want. So I'm going to try to figure out exactly what I can do to try to help. And I'm going to give it what I think it wants, what this person wants. And I'm going to do the best I can. And so you end up coming really close to what you want, but it's not exactly what you want. Now, this has nothing to do with the disembodied voice. This has nothing to do with your fate. This has nothing to do with, I guess this is how it's supposed to be. I just need to settle for it. I guess this is good enough. It's better than it was before, but it's not as good as it could be, but I guess it's good enough. I thought I envisioned this, but then I got this. And so I guess what? It's your drive-through lane. It's your well-lit board. You can have anything you want off of that board, and you can even customize. You know how you go up there and you're like, I want a hamburger, but I don't want onions. But I would like this instead on my hamburger. I'd like extra pickles. And could I have a side of ranch? You can ask all these extra things that aren't even on the board. And you know what the disembodied voice says? Sure. Okay. That's new, but of course, not a problem at all. Right? This is how you approach what you ask and how you ask. But you've got to have the clarity on the front end. You've got to have the clarity on the front end. Now, sometimes people say, well, what if I want a certain thing and other people want the same thing? I mean, is there enough stuff? I mean, what if they're more deserving of the stuff than me? Nobody is more deserving of the stuff than you. Your life, you energetic being, you catalyst, you co-creator. You landed on this planet to make it the best for you. And in making it the best for you, you're creating ripples around the world in a better, higher vibrational, more positive way. So why would you think that there wouldn't be enough? Like, think about when you drive up to the drive-thru and you've got 7 other people in your van. I mean, I used to, this is one of those weird stories, but I used to coach college cheerleaders. It was an interesting task. It wasn't one that I really did for a long time. I decided I had clarity and I didn't want to be in that kind of a situation any longer. However, it did have some fun, exciting points. And one of the fun parts was doing the road trips with them when we had to go to certain games, right? And I'd have like 7 or 8 cheerleaders in the van and we'd pull up to the drive-through lane, right? And I would say, hi, I want to get this and this and this. And then I would turn to the person sitting in the co-pilot and I'd be like, what would you like? And he would look at the board and he'd say, I'd like this and I'd like this. And so I would tell her. And then I would ask and I would ask and I would, so we all 8 of us would get what we wanted. We all got what we wanted. And if there was somebody, number 5 back there, who said, I want the same thing that Diane wants, I want the same thing. And if somebody else said, well, I want the same thing that he wants, what does the disembodied voice say? Oh, you can't have that. There's only one of those. I'm sorry, no, we're out. Only this one person gets it and then you don't get it. That doesn't work like that. The disembodied voice says, sure. What else can I get you? Would you like to customize anything on that for yourself? Or do you want it to just be the same thing? That's fine with me. Whatever you want. Now, let me take you back to my client who was talking about making more money. And I said, okay, well, if you do want money to drop into your account, get clarity on how that could possibly happen. And think from it already happening. Think from it already happening. Think from. I'm going to be talking about that all the time because you have to be in the vibrational space of having already received it. It's like getting the order in and driving that short little distance to the receiving window. You're getting what you ordered. You're relaxed. It's showing up. You have every expectation. It's going to be in your car with you in just a matter of moments. This is how you want to feel: expectant, accepting, knowing, believing that whatever you ordered is already yours. Whatever you ordered is already yours. Whatever you ordered is already yours. How can you put yourself in a place daily, thinking and feeling that it is already yours? Whatever it is you're asking about. So when I asked her about this, then we got more clarity. And she said, well, sure, I'd love to have money drop in. I think that'd be really awesome. But I would love to expand on doing things so that I can bring money in by doing something creatively that I love to do. And before she had said, I just don't think I can do it. I don't know if I don't know how I can make money doing that. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? And she said, well, I really like to write songs. And I thought, well, there's not anybody in the entire world everybody who writes songs, not one of them makes any money. No, there's millions of people out there who are making money writing songs. And I said, well, what else do you want to do? She says, well, I'd like to sing my own songs. Okay. Well, I know a lot of examples of people who are making money singing their own songs. So as we got closer and closer and clearer on what she really wanted, she began to realize that she could make money doing what she loved the most. This is what I tell my clients. If you want to work in a florist shop, if you want to work on cars, if you want to create cars, if you want to be the best plumber in the world because you think it's so fascinating, if you want to build houses, if you want to build sky rises, if you want to build a gigantic worldwide company, it's your order on the lit board. It's your expectancy. It's your ask. And it's your receiving. And that's how it works. But I tell you, my friend, you got to have clarity on the front end. I'm going to leave you with one other quick story. And this has to do with Bob Proctor teaching me about clarity and getting really clear on the goal. Now, when you start working on getting really clear on your goal, whatever it is that you want more of, The one thing that you really want to be conscious of, and this has more to do with a feeling tone than a thinking tone, is the goal really yours? Or does it belong to somebody else who wants it for you? And you think, well, it would be great if I actually had this happen, blah, 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 because blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you don't even disconnect those two dots. But it's important to understand in your feeling tone if it's really yours or if it belongs to somebody else who wants it for you. When it's really yours, then you can get excited about it. Then you can get expectant about it, right? It's like driving up to the drive-thru and having your mom sitting in the seat next to you and you saying, I want to get the double cheeseburger, please, with extra grilled onions and the large fries with extra ranch dressing. And your mother's sitting there saying, yeah, no, why don't you get the salad? Well, I don't feel like the salad. Why don't you get the salad? It's better for you. This is where somebody else's goal comes in and tells you what's better for your life. Now, whether a salad is better for you than a burger, I'm not going to get into that discussion. What I'm saying is, don't let someone else tell you what's better for you at the drive-thru. Okay? This is your life. This is you, Catalyst, creating and choosing as you wish. As you wish. And that's really what it's all about. Now, when I was talking about my example for Laguna Beach, about 2-3 years ago, I was living in a really great cottage. I only live in like one block of South Laguna Beach because I love it. We call it Bluff Island. I love it. It's beautiful. And so I was living in a beautiful little cottage and they were dear friends of mine and I had a contract with them. And they said, well, unfortunately, our daughter and her husband sold their house and now they can't find another house. And so we're going to have you move out. And I said, but I have a contract. And they're like, yeah, no, but we're going to have you move out. I was like, but, and they're like, yeah, sorry, no, we're going to have you move out. And so I thought, okay, well, I can either move out or I can stay and ruin the friendship and make this miserable for all of us. I don't feel like making things miserable for anybody. And so I thought, okay, I'm always good at finding magical places, belief. And I thought, I can find something. Now, of course, at this particular time, nothing was available in Laguna Beach. Things were moving fast and there was nothing available, especially to rent. And the rents were significantly high. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to do my clarity exercise and I'm going to figure out exactly what I want in this new place. And I went to town. I mean, I came up with all kinds of stuff that didn't even really exist in Laguna Beach. I mean, I wanted something renovated. I wanted something new. I wanted a gourmet chef's kitchen. I wanted an island in the kitchen. I wanted this. I wanted that. I wanted this. And I'm looking at the list and I'm thinking anybody else would think that this is crazy because I know the whole market in Laguna Beach and I know that there's a really good possibility that this doesn't exist. I know, but this is what I want. I am placing the order at the lit board. And I am going to move forward with expectation and anticipation that this is going to pop up somehow. And of course, I'm looking on the ads. I'm looking here. I'm looking in the realtor thing. I'm doing all that. I had my own realtor's license. So I thought it was easy to find other rentals. Nothing was showing up. Nothing was showing up according to what I had clarified because I didn't want to settle. I had clarified. Now, in the clarity exercise I teach my clients, which I'll share with you, it's on my website. You know, I have them go through different iterations of what's most important and what's very important, you know, that kind of a thing. So I did this whole thing. And the one thing I want you to be clear on is that once you place that order, expect nudges to come your way to move you toward that thing you want. It's called the law of vibration. And I was walking from my friend's house down to my little cottage that I was about to not be in any longer. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go by here and I'm going to check with that security guard at the condo that I used to live at and just see if there's anything going on. I mean, he's still a buddy of mine and, you know, we're friends and I'll just see if there's anything happening. And I said, so, you know, is there anything opening up in here? Because clearly nothing was listed. And he was like, well, as a matter of fact, there's a guy on the 8th floor and he's just finishing up a renovation. I thought that he was making it for his family. It's like super luxe, but I think he's decided that it's too small for his family. And he was talking the other day about possibly renting it. I moved into that condo in 3 weeks. It had everything on the list. Everything on the list. This is when you have clarity. You don't look at the external circumstance and say, okay, I will make it work this way because of the external circumstances around me. You don't have to do that. What do you want? What do you deserve? What do you feel that you are worthy of? Because that is what you're ordering at the drive-through, well-lit board. All right? I hope that this was helpful to you. And I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here at the Catalyst Code. And I will be back next week with more to talk about. But I also want to invite you to subscribe at my YouTube channel. I would very much appreciate that. You can listen to this, of course, on any audio podcast and at the YouTube channel. And if you really want to go a level deeper, please go to my website, dianearmitageblog.com, and learn about the Code Vault. The Code Vault takes you a few steps deeper, maybe even a many steps deeper. And it's a fun little thing that I've got going on with every single podcast episode that I release. And please share this news with your friends because they too are the catalyst. They too have the code. And it's time that all of us go. Thank you for being part of my world. And I will see you next week.